Hey guys! Now, as most of you know, I've been attending Sundance Film Festival 2021, which has been all virtual, but I've been seeing some incredible movies. I already have one video review roundup up, so if you haven't already checked that out, be sure to do so. But here's my second one, and I've got another batch of movies to talk to you about. But before I do so, I would love it if you guys would consider hitting that subscribe button. And of course, if you want to give me a thumbs up, now would be a great time to do that as well. Hit that notification bell and you won't miss out on any of my videos. I've got several more Sundance reviews coming up, so you guys definitely want to stay tuned for that. Also, if you didn't know, I do have a membership program. If you click join, it'll give you all the details, but one of my favorite perks is that we do have a face-to-face Zoom meeting once a month. It's a ton of fun. So if you want to do that and participate, check out the membership and look into it. All right, guys. Let's talk about these movies. I'm so excited. All right, guys. Just like with my previous Sundance film review roundup, I do have more detailed reviews at mamasgeeky.com. So if you want to check out the full reviews, be sure to go there. But I've got some quick reviews here. I don't want to make this video super long, and I've got a lot of movies to fit in. So I'm just going to give you my overall thoughts. Again, if you really want all detailed reviews, just head to mamasgeeky.com. You can search Sundance or the name of the movie. Now, I did put the time codes in the description so that if there's a specific movie you are looking for, you can just click on that time code. It'll jump right to that movie. So let's get into this, guys. There's some really amazing movies that have come out of this, and I can't wait to tell you about them. Hey, Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. The movies we're going to talk about today are Mass, Passing, 8 for Silver, Hive, Coming Home in the Dark, Marvelous in the Black Hole, The Dog Who Wouldn't Be Quiet, Together, Misha and the Wolves, and The Blazing World. The first movie I'm going to talk to you guys about is called Mass. Now, this movie just broke me. There's no other way to talk about it. It absolutely broke me. The last hour, I was ugly crying, like sobbing. I was a mess. I was wiping my eyes. I had makeup all down my face. I mean, it is one of the most emotional, heart-wrenching movies I've seen in a really, really long time. Now, it does touch on gun violence. It touches on school shootings, and that is part of why this is just so raw and emotional. There are two sets of parents in a room discussing this tragedy and having lost their children, and it is just, I'm gonna tear up thinking about it. The casting choices were absolutely perfect. To have just 4 people carry this movie in basically one room the entire film, and it just feels so real. I mean, Martha Plimpton is in it, and she is just absolutely phenomenal. Her and Ann Dowd, they stand out, the two moms. Now, maybe I, as a mother, relate. I mean, the fathers are fantastic, too, don't get me wrong. But as a mother, I think I really connected with both of those characters. And this movie is just heart-wrenching, but still really, really important to watch. There are moments that are going to be hard to watch, but it's so good. And it's a testament to the writing, too, because to have that long in one room with 4 people talking, and you never get bored, right? You never fall out of the story, and the writing is so good, and the movie is so good. It's so good. It's called Mass. I really hope that it gets out there. I think, listen, this is one that it's one of those ones that's going to be hard to watch, but it's super important to watch. I loved this movie from beginning to end, even though it was really, really, really hard to watch. Next up is a movie called Passing. Now, this was one of my most anticipated movies of Sundance 2021 because it stars 2 of my favorite actors, Tessa Thompson and Ruth Negga. I adore them both. I mean, Ruth is just incredible in everything she does. Preacher, I specifically love her in, but she's just amazing. I love her attitude and just how she is on screen. And of course, Tessa Thompson, you know I love her. We all love her as Valkyrie, but I just adore her. Anyway, we share the same name, so we're like best friends. That's how that works, I think. No, but Passing is about these 2 lighter-skinned African-American women who could both pass to be white. Now, I didn't know this was a thing. This is from it's set in the 1920s, and so they both could pass. Now, they actually meet up with each other, and they haven't seen each other since high school, and they're both passing as white women in the time when they meet each other. And then we learn that they've both kind of chosen separate lives. Well, they both could easily pass as a white woman. One of them chooses to live this way, and one of them chooses only to do it when, they need it, like when they're out and about, and maybe they she just says when it's necessary, I think is the words that she uses. But this movie is so good and so powerful. Now, it's shot in all black and white, which I was not a fan of, but now recently, the more black and white stuff we get, I really, really like. Like, Malcolm and Marie is one of my favorite movies of the year already, and that was shot in all black and white. I just think it makes it more dramatic and more powerful, and being shot in black and white really made sense for Passing. Now, this movie, like I said, it's emotional, and then when you get to the end, you're like, what is going on? I think, listen, Tessa and Ruth just absolutely kill it. They're absolutely amazing in this. Their chemistry on screen is fantastic. And I just, as soon as it ended, I wanted to go back and watch certain spots. I actually did go back and watch certain spots because I was thinking, wait, what did I miss? Because there's hints of stuff all throughout this. It's a drama for sure, but it's so good, and it's the writing is so good, the cinematography, it's gorgeous to look at. Every single scene could be a still and hung on a wall. I mean, it's beautiful. There's just so much about this movie that I loved, and I could ramble on and on and on, but this is only the second movie on a long list, so if you want my full review, again, head to mamasgeeky.com. But Passing is one that you should not pass on. Haha. Get what I did there. Next up is 8 for Silver, and I gotta admit, this was on my list of yes, I have to watch it, but I don't know, I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. This is basically a period piece werewolf horror, and there's even a terrifying scarecrow. And if you guys have been around for a while, you know how I feel about scarecrows, especially if you've seen my trailer reaction for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I don't like them. Ever since Harold in Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, when I was a kid reading that book, I've been terrified of scarecrows. So the scarecrows in this terrified me. But this movie, it's really, really good. So it tells it's a tale of werewolves, but it's gory. Oh my gosh, is it gory. Sometimes you see tendons in people, which is just incredible. There's blood all over the place, but the story itself is really good too. Now, the ending wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it was still good. Listen, this movie, I'm just thinking of certain parts. I don't want to give away spoilers, but I've got to say, listen, if you like werewolf lore and if you like gore and action, you're really going to like this movie. Now, the werewolves sometimes looked off and weird, and I think it really depended on the lighting because sometimes they were terrifying. So the CGI is like iffy on the werewolves, but the rest of the stuff is really good. It's really great at making intense moments. Like my heart was pounding almost the entire time I watched it. Doesn't help that I watched it in the dark at night. That definitely probably made things a little more intense for me. But overall, 8 for Silver. If you love this kind of stuff, it's really, really, really good. There's kids involved, and whenever they involve kids in horror stuff, oh my gosh, that's like the ultimate terrifying, amazing experience for me. And I really, really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, from beginning to end, it goes off a little bit in the middle, but then it comes back around, and then you got to take it for what it is. It's a horror, and it's a thriller, and it's werewolves. It's not anything new, so to speak, but it's really, really good. I absolutely enjoyed it. If you love this kind of stuff, if you love werewolves and action and blood and gore, this one is for you. Hive is a movie that I thought was going to be really good because of the description. It sounded like it was going to be a really great movie about a true story, and I was very intrigued, and it just unfortunately fell flat for me. I felt like the pacing was off, and while the lead actress did give a great performance, this movie overall was just kind of meh. Like, I found myself finding it really hard to even continue to pay attention as it went on. Now, it is subtitles, which sometimes that is an issue with me, but it hasn't been recently. I've been watching a lot of subtitled movies, and it hasn't been a problem. So I don't think that was it. I think it's just the story and the pacing. It's about a woman, really about a village, whose her husband, the main person's husband, has gone away. Husband and son have been taken away, and they're basically waiting to find out, are they alive, are they not alive? And it's a true story, so I don't want to bring that down because it's a very important story, and it's important for people to know. I didn't know this story before watching it, but unfortunately, I think the true story in it is lost, and it wasn't put together. It wasn't executed well enough, unfortunately. And so for me, The Hive, if you guys, check it out if you want, if you're into this kind of thing. But I really like true story movies, and I just kind of, it was a miss for me this year. Next up is the Australian horror Coming Home in the dark. That is terrifying. Listen, you just look at the name and you know, oh, this is crazy. Something's going on here. Well, this is a revenge horror, and as the pieces of the puzzle all start to come together, this movie escalates from like really good to like incredible. The lead actor has a phenomenal performance. He's absolutely terrifying. I think he'll haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. Anytime I see him in anything else, this is the problem with him. Anytime I see him in anything else, I'm going to be terrified of him now and be like, he's a bad guy. What's he doing? He's scary because he was so intense. This is another one of those ones that had me on the edge of my seat. I had literal goosebumps. There were jump scares where I was jumping out of my skin. It was very intense. Intense is the best word for this. It's intense. It starts off with a family, and they're out driving, and they're like, let's stop and have a hike. And there's 2 teenage sons and a mom and a dad, and they stop and have a picnic. And then these 2 wanderers, so to speak, come up with guns, and things get violent. They forcefully take the family, and then secrets start to come out, and little pieces here and there start to come out, and you realize this isn't all random, which you kind of pretty much know right on, but especially from the synopsis they give you. But you realize like there's a whole lot more to this story, and as it starts to come together, it's awful secrets, awful story, and I mean awful as in like, you know, it's really good actually, but I mean it's a horrible story, it's a horrible secret, and it all pieces together. But this movie is insane. There's a little bit of gore, enough gore to keep me satisfied, so I was happy with that. And it's just, man, it's intense. It's one of those ones that's going to have your heart pounding from beginning to end, and you're going to be sitting here going, wait, what's going on? And you're trying to piece it all together. And once you do, and once it all comes together, it's like a holy cow moment. It's great. And I loved the ending. I think some people will like the ending, some won't. I loved it. So that one is Coming Home in the Dark, and I definitely recommend you check it out if you get the chance. Next up is Marvelous and the Black Hole. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to my Sundance reviews, you know I've been watching a lot of horror and a lot of drama and a lot of like really intense movies. So this movie was, you know, a light. This movie helped break it all up. This movie was so much fun. Now, I did expect it to be more of a teen drama, but it really plays like a Disney Channel original movie, which I am here for. You guys know I love that stuff. Now, yes, it's a little dark at times, and of course there's some actual real life, you know, subjects that you have to deal with in this movie, but it does it in a fun and whimsical way. Now, the 2 stars of this movie have incredible chemistry. Of course, there's Rhea Perlman, who we all know is hilarious and fantastic and a legend. And I just, as soon as I saw her attached to this, I knew she was going to be great. But then there's also Maya Ketch, who plays Sammy, and I haven't seen her before, and she's so good. So the story is basically that Sammy has lost her mother. Her mother has passed away, and she has her sister, and her older sister, and her dad, and then her dad's girlfriend. And she does not like her dad's girlfriend at all, which, understandable, I can get it. She's still dealing with the grief and the loss of her mother, so that makes total sense. I'm in her mindset. I know where she's going with this. Well, she's very rebellious, so she wears a lot of black clothes, and she smokes, and she actually vandalizes her school. This is at the very, very beginning. And when she does that, her dad decides to put her in summer school and says, listen, if you fail out of summer school, you're going to a delinquent school. So that's kind of hanging over her head the whole time. When she storms out of her first class and she bumps into this quirky, that's the best way to describe her, I guess. This quirky magician who is Rhea Perlman, forces her to be her assistant for a magic show that she's putting on for children. And, you know, Sammy hates every second of it. But then when her teacher sees her with this magician and tells her, you know what, you can use this as your project this summer, she thinks, okay, fine, I will do that. And of course, the 2 of them end up forming this bond. And well, the movie is a little bit predictable. I don't want to go further into details than that. The movie is definitely predictable, but it's still fun. I loved the script. I loved the 2 of them and their interactions. I mean, they have this bond that you just don't expect, a friendship, right? An unexpected friendship, so to speak. And there's a lot of great moments. There's some really cool magic in this. And I think this is one that older kids and their parents will have a lot of fun watching together. And it also really tackles the subject of grief. And especially as you get towards the end and you learn more about, I don't want to give stuff away, but as you learn more as it goes on, it's a really great movie. It's touching. There were moments I laughed out loud, and I even shed a couple of tears towards the end. I really enjoyed Marvelous in the Black Hole, and like I said, it plays like a Disney Channel original movie. So if you like that kind of thing, you're definitely gonna like this. The Dog Who Wouldn't Be Quiet was something I was like, well, this sounds interesting. I can kind of get into it, okay. And then it didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. And perhaps it's because I have been watching it. I've watched it, in between all these other incredible movies that really, really touched me. And this one, I just thought, okay. I mean, I can see why people will really like this movie. It's another all black and white film, and it is also foreign, so there are captions to read. But the story itself is too weird and all over the place. It's like a bunch of little stories in this guy's life, stuck one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I just found myself being distracted by it all. And then kind of feeling not overwhelmed, but like, I don't know why am I watching this? Like, what's going on? It's like each one is like a little chapter in his life, which could definitely work. And I think there are a lot of people who will like this movie. It isn't all bad. I mean, I was definitely in from the beginning. It's called The Dog Who Wouldn't Be Quiet, and he's talking to his neighbors, and he has a dog that won't be quiet. And then it quickly changes into all these other stories. Like, even at one point, there's a virus, and he's got, like, this big bubble on. Everybody's got this, like, big helmet on, and you can't breathe outside. So it was just weird, and it changed too much for me. But like I said, I do think there's going to be an audience out there for this movie. It's just not me. Together, it was another movie that was great to break up all the drama and horror. Now, this is definitely a little bit drama. It's very much comedy, and I really, really enjoyed it. This movie stars Ed Helms and Patty Harrison, and this is where Ed Helms has decided he doesn't have anyone that he's with in life, but he wants a child. So he's looking for a surrogate, and of course that is where Patty's character comes in, and they end up, they're not together. That's where the name of this comes, and they end up, creating this platonic friendship. Of course, I mean, she's literally carrying his child throughout the course of the movie, and I think the one thing I really love about this movie is it really focuses on platonic love and platonic friendship, right? There is a world where a man can be friends with a woman and love her as a human being, but not love her like that. And I kind of like seeing that highlighted on the screen. I think their chemistry was amazing. They had me cracking up. They were such a fun pair to watch on screen throughout this entire process. The only thing I will say is I wish I got a little more at the ending, but I'm okay with how it ended. So Together, I'm sure it's going to get picked up for distribution, and I hope you guys check it out when it does come out. Okay, now we're going to talk about Misha and the Wolves. This has Netflix documentary written all over it. Now, I did not know the story of Misha and the Wolves going into this. My husband did. So I know there's people out there that know this story, and I think even if you know this story, you are really going to enjoy this documentary. But if you don't know the story, you're going to be sitting there going, what? What? For every twist and turn. This documentary, I mean, it starts off with the story of a woman who, when she was a little girl, her parents were taken away. She was a Holocaust survivor, and she ended up living in the woods with wolves. Misha and the Wolves, right? Get it? And then, other events happen in her life, and she ends up having a book, an autobiography about it, which turns into a movie. But everything may not be as it seems when a story sounds a little too wild. Maybe it is a little too wild. Maybe it is a little too out there and didn't happen. So this, and then just when you think this, where this story is going, a new twist gets thrown in it. It's crazy. The thing I love about this documentary is that they included interviews from real people, but then they included reenactments and clips from different interviews, like actual real interviews that are just out there and public. And I love the way it pieced together, and it just had me staring at it the entire time. I didn't move from my seat. I was like, what is happening? So I can definitely imagine this being picked up by Netflix. If you know the Misha and the Wolves story, I'm sure you can imagine how crazy this documentary is. And if you don't know the story, just wait, because this is one you're going to be stuck with from beginning to end. I'm still thinking about it. I feel like I don't even really know what actually truly happened. Lastly, The Blazing World. Now, this one was one of my most anticipated, and I had insanely high expectations for it. The director is also the lead actress, And maybe that was part of the problem. Now, here's the thing. I still really liked this movie. I think I just had set it way too high, that I don't think it was ever going to reach it, to be perfectly honest with you. This movie is clearly inspired by Pan's Labyrinth, that kind of thing. Maybe a little bit of like Alice in the Wonderland, and maybe that's Alice in Wonderland. And perhaps that's part of the problem. It takes too much from that and doesn't give it its own thing. However, when you get to the end, it's absolutely worth it. The movie itself is gorgeous to look at from beginning to end. Absolutely gorgeous. Each and every scene is just insane and more crazy than the next one. So this movie basically is about a young woman who was a twin when they were babies. Or not babies, I guess they were, probably 7. I don't know. I don't think they say the age, but looking at them, maybe 6, 7. Her twin drowns and dies. And so she's been dealing with this grief and guilt, really, because she does watch her sister die. And then she feels like, well, maybe her sister got stuck in another dimension. And so she starts, which I know is weird, but so as she's an older woman, she's probably in her early 20s, she starts to try to figure out how to get into these other dimensions to help her sister and get her out. And the things that go on get crazier and crazier and crazier. But towards the end, there's this one scene where, gosh, you can tell that this woman is just absolutely amazing, this actress. She's so good. And the fact that she directed this as well. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with her. I can't wait to see what she does next. But, I mean, like I said, it's gorgeous to look at. The story goes a little off here and there, but it's carried by its amazing visuals. It's just absolutely beautiful. Every single scene. I can't even think of one scene that was like, meh. I mean, there's even when they're outside talking, it's like, it's gorgeous. So it's such a great movie. It's very, very interesting. Again, it didn't meet my expectations, but again, they were very high expectations. This movie, though, definitely worth a watch. It's super interesting, and it really ties all together in the end. It's a great, great movie about kind of like Marvelous in the Black Hole, dealing with grief in your own way, and moving on in your own life. I really loved it. I loved the ending. I really, really liked the ending. And I think for me, that really pushed it from like, this was okay to like, this was really good movie. All right, guys, that was my second roundup of Sundance Film Festival 2021 reviews. I've got more coming, so stay tuned over the next few days. I've got lots more movies to watch. I am not done yet. If you've been following me on Twitter, you know I've been posting my initial reactions up there as well. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Mama's Geeky over there, MAMASGEEKY. Same on Instagram. I hope you guys take a second and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and be sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Which one of these movies are you most looking forward to? And thanks for taking the time to watch this, guys. I'll see you next time.